Hi everyone. So last week we talked about being women in medieval Europe, and in particular, different kinds of documents with women's presence, not only in court records for the most part written by men, like the Trial of Joan of Arc, but also in works composed by women themselves, like Christine de Pisan's The Book of the City of Ladies. And this week, we're going to focus on another topic, but also with a perspective of gender involved. So, for Castiglione's The Book of the Courtier, we're going to focus on status. So, how one status can be materialized, or let's say represented through material, and also how status can be gendered. So we have two sets of questions here. For the first one, it asks you, what does Castiglione mean by grace? And how, to what extent is grace the product of birth or nature? And the last question for this set, in my opinion, is more important because it asks you how to show a courtier's status, which is something invisible by nature, through his conduct. So here I want to bring in a concept called materialization. So if you can recall, in our midterm exam, we have a question about the Code of Hammurabi in the source analysis part. And in that question, we have two pictures. One of the stele itself of the Code of Hammurabi, and another a kind of a scene, or let's say another picture, another thing engraved on the top of the stele. And so here, a courtier status, just like Hammurabi's authority or his power over the land of Babylon, is invisible. And for Hammurabi, the way for him to show his authority or his divinity or his power is to try to erect something huge or giant as the city with a height of 8 feet in a public space to show that he's not only be able to erect something that giant, but also to have the ability to set the rules, to set the kind of law code, and also have the law code engraved on this stele. And for the picture engraved at the top of the stele, we can see, if you can recall, we can see a certain god, I suppose, which I suppose is the god of justice, Shamash, passing a scepter to Hammurabi. And this very scene is also a materialization of Hammurabi's divinity, and more important, his to justify his authority over Babylon. So here we can see power and authority or divinity even. They are qualities that for the most part are invisible, but they can be materialized, or let's say can be represented by materials or by objects, and then they are tangible, more visible than they are before. So here I want you to try to apply this concept of materialization to this question. So how one status, also invisible, can be materialized, or let's say can become observable through one's conduct, or let's say through the conduct of a courtier. I think that will be a important question to ask. And then for the second set of questions, I want to turn to a gender perspective. So how I want to ask, how is grace gendered? And in other words, why in the eyes of Castiglione, a courtier and a court lady, which he also mentioned in the text, should possess different virtues or qualities, although certainly they share some similarities in terms of virtues or qualities, but they uh, at the end of the day, they have different set of virtues or qualities. So why they should do that, and why Castiglione thinks that is something necessary or that is correct. And for the next source, we have The Prince, composed by Machiavelli. And we will just have one simple question for this source. Not because it's not important, but I want you guys to try to focus more on gender and on materialization for this week. So for The Prince, I want to ask you, how does Machiavelli understand human nature, and how is his understanding relevant to politics?